On January 15, 2023, in the small coastal city of Jacksonville, Florida, an unnoticed software glitch began to unfurl a series of events that would lay bare the vulnerabilities within global supply chains. At the center of this unfolding scenario was LogiShip, a mid-sized shipping company specializing in freight forwarding and logistics services. LogiShip had relied heavily on a comprehensive digital platform called ShipSmart, which managed their shipping schedules, inventory tracking, and order fulfillment processes. ShipSmart was integral to their operations, connecting them with various vendors, shipping partners, and customers around the world. The initial incident occurred when a routine software update was performed on ShipSmart. A misconfiguration in the application's settings inadvertently disabled key functionalities responsible for interfacing with the company's database of inventory and order logistics. As a result, internal workflows began to suffer. Employees could no longer access real-time data concerning shipment statuses. Inventory levels began displaying erroneous numbers, and crucial automated reports were not generated. The root cause of this failure lay in a flawed vendor dependency. The contractual agreement with the software provider included minimal oversight regarding update protocols, leading to scant testing before deployment. The failures were compounded by weak internal controls over access permissions, allowing multiple users to access sensitive settings without appropriate oversight or authority. The first measurable impact of this system malfunction became evident within hours. By midday on January 15th, LogiShip employees discovered a 35% spike in reported discrepancies related to inventory levels in their major warehousing facilities. Clients complained about shipping delays, with nearly 50 shipments scheduled for that day failing to leave the docks. This generated an estimated loss of $150,000 in potential revenue, as well as significant operational strain on customer service teams that fielded calls from frustrated clients. The company's first quarter projections of profitability were now immediately at risk, and mounting pressure was beginning to build within the organization. As confusion reigned among the staff, internal communications were flooded with emails attempting to discern the scope of the issue. An incident management channel was rapidly established on the company's collaboration platform to centralize information and coordinate responses. Employees shared insights, but many assumptions led to misguided troubleshoot efforts. A few team members speculated that it was merely a temporary glitch, while others suggested reverting to an earlier version of ShipSmart without fully understanding the potential risks involved. This initial response highlighted gaps in the organization's incident management processes, which had not been tested against such a significant failure. Externally, early signals began to emerge as customers and partners uncharacteristically voiced their concerns. User reports on social media platforms began surfacing, highlighting abnormal shipment delays and unexpected inventory errors. Minor media mentions appeared online, indicating a potential supply chain disruption, highlighting LogiShip's name in the process. Monitoring alerts set up to track service performance began to show red flags, indicating decreased operational efficiency across multiple channels. These signals suggested a brewing issue that had yet to escalate, but the company's management remained largely oblivious to the broader implications of what was occurring. Despite the early indicators, there was initial reluctance to escalate the issue to upper management. The regular operational meetings continued, and discussions focused on short-term fixes rather than addressing what was becoming apparent. The longer this glitch persisted, the more it could undermine not just LogiShip, but potentially the network of companies reliant on their services. Internal experts began looking into potential fixes, and various IT team members suggested deploying temporary workarounds to restore functionality. But this merely added layers of complexity to an already strained situation. By January 20th, 2023, as the week progressed, the initial glitches revealed themselves to be far more pervasive than first believed. The problem had not only affected Logi Ship's operations, but also rippled through their partner networks, causing issues for multiple international shipping contracts. A domino effect was beginning to materialize, as other logistics companies that depended on timely data began reporting inconsistencies in their own systems. These partners, unaware of the foundational glitch, began recalibrating their logistics schedules based on flawed information, perpetuating the cycle of effects. In an unanticipated development, international orders that relied on Logi Ship's coordination, particularly those bound for Europe and Asia, began facing additional delays. Customs adjustments that should have been seamless were now hampered by incomplete documentation. An analysis revealed that over 200 shipments, representing a total value of more than $2 million, had been put at risk due to shipping errors and regulatory compliance failures attributed to the initial software malfunction. Senior management at Logi Ship convened to strategize a response. However, there was internal conflict regarding the urgency of communication with partners. External stakeholders began expressing their concerns, as preliminary investigations indicated growing levels of frustration among customers. While some logistics companies attempted to divert their operations to alternative providers, the ripple effects continued to grow. Logi Ship's customer support teams found themselves inundated with inquiries, and the volume of complaints surged, prompting the company's leadership to reconsider the situation's severity. They initiated a review of risk management protocols, but by this stage, the implications of their decisions over the past weeks were becoming alarmingly clear. With each passing day, as the problems compounded, the tech support team struggled to keep pace with the mounting requests to restore normalcy. Proposals for partial fixes generated discussion, but failed to provide any lasting relief from the symptoms of the mounting chaos. Employees who had initially offered interim solutions began to feel the burden of further complications that were arising with a lack of comprehensive oversight. Meanwhile, external forces were beginning to coalesce around the situation, detecting opportunities for scrutiny. Analysts in the logistics and technology sectors started examining the implications of the ongoing disruptions, focusing on the critical dependency of logistics companies on software infrastructure without proper maintenance practices. As January gave way to February, the situation continued to escalate. With no resolution in sight and a growing chorus of complaints, it became increasingly apparent that the glitch at Logi Ship was not merely a localized anomaly, but a window into the fragility of interconnected supply chains globally. Subsequent investigations were poised to unveil deeper systemic failures across the logistics sector, as companies began to realize the broader ramifications of the unattended software glitches that had gone unnoticed for far too long. The fallout was poised to escalate further, as voices calling for accountability grew louder and demands for transparency mounted. By February 15th, 2023, Logi Ship's difficulties had transformed into a full-blown crisis. Independent audits revealed that critical databases had lost integrity due to cascading errors resulting from the initial software glitch, affecting data accuracy across nearly a dozen countries. Consequently, Shipments that were supposed to reach manufacturers in a timely manner arrived weeks late, causing production bottlenecks and significant financial loss estimated at over $100 million for various industries reliant on these supplies. As the impact continued to expand, it became clear that the problem was not limited to delayed shipments. Reports of fraudulent transactions began surfacing, linked to discrepancies in the data these companies were relying on for their operations. The flawed data set allowed unverified entities to exploit the situation, leading to unauthorized access to shipment details and customs documentation. By the end of February, multiple partners of LogiShip reported instances of identity theft related to their logistics transactions, further amplifying the need for immediate regulatory intervention. In response to increasing pressure from stakeholders and the media, LogiShip's senior management finally declared an emergency meeting on February 28, 2023. Legal teams were mobilized to assess potential liabilities, and a public relations strategy was formulated amid rising scrutiny from federal agencies. Law enforcement agencies were alerted, resulting in the establishment of a task force to investigate the fraudulent activities stemming from the logistics disruptions. On March 5, 2023, LogiShip reported its first significant layoffs due to the financial strain, as an internal audit team began evaluating the extensive damage incurred. In an attempt to restore confidence and rectify the situation, LogiShip implemented a series of emergency changes, including a halt on all outgoing shipments until a thorough system upgrade could be performed. They enacted temporary bans on third-party access to their systems, while a comprehensive security overhaul was carried out. Partner companies were informed to prepare for a lengthy recovery period, as they too took steps to mitigate losses and protect their operations. The exposure phase escalated dramatically by mid-April 2023, when investigative journalists uncovered internal communications, revealing management's awareness of potential glitches weeks before the crisis escalated. Court filings indicated a growing number of lawsuits from disgruntled partners, claiming negligence and breach of contract. Leaked internal memos disclosed previous warnings from staff about software vulnerabilities that had been sidelined by decision-makers, contributing to a narrative of deliberate ignorance. As the situation evolved, LogiShip's reputation began to erode. Public sentiment turned sharply negative, with stakeholders reevaluating their business relationships. Reports indicated a decline in share value, prompting further speculation about the company's viability. By May 1, 2023, third-party audits confirmed that operational downtime had cost partners collectively over $500 million, amplifying calls for a deeper regulatory assessment of software practices used within the logistics sector. Eventually, LogiShip faced governmental scrutiny that culminated in July 2023. The U.S. Department of Transportation issued multiple subpoenas demanding records related to operational compliance and data integrity. A sweeping investigation revealed systemic issues not just limited to LogiShip, but across several partners who had relied on LogiShip's services. The investigation exposed widespread negligence regarding software maintenance practices across the sector. As a result of accumulated findings and sustained pressure, LogiShip filed for bankruptcy protection on August 15, 2023, to mitigate losses and restructure their operations. By this point, the executive leadership had been forced to resign, alongside a wave of management-level turnovers across associated companies impacted by the crisis. the long-term outcome remains a cautionary tale for the logistics industry, highlighting the fragility of digital systems predicated on user trust and reliability. LogiShip's operational infrastructure suffered irreversible damage, and its brand viability dissolved in a matter of months. As of October 2023, LogiShip remains inactive, with liquidated assets being sold off to repay creditors, effectively concluding its chapter in the logistics landscape.